Today I visit with Dustin Schmidt of Sedalia, Missouri. I'm Rick J., your host, and this is Spotlight on the Arts. Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts, coming to you from the Lamies Building in Sedalia, Missouri. And as I spoke earlier, we want to welcome Mr. Schmidt from Sedalia, Missouri. I'm truly excited to have you on Spotlight on the Arts, being an interview and putting you under the spotlight this time, Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Yes, and so. Well, this is your first visit with me here on Spotlight in the Arts. I've been looking forward to it for quite a while now. And so I'd like to start things off with people worldwide now, getting more or less to know you. So if you could tell us a little bit about Dustin Schmidt.
Well, I'm from Sedalia, Missouri, and born and raised here. I've become familiar and involved with the community, and inspired by it mainly. And I'm a family man, married. I have two sons who keep me quite busy. And in my free time, I'm a painter, a hobby painter, and I like to organize events where other artists can show their work, and many different exhibitions. We hold them differently throughout town. And when I'm not doing all of that, I'm a construction worker. So, a union electrician in Kansas City. So,
Oh, I see.
that keeps me busy when I'm not doing everything else.
So that definitely puts the groceries on the table, as we say it on the farm years ago.
It keeps
I know
the
I
lights
find
on.
myself having to do some of that extra work rather than in front of the camera all the time. So, well, can you share with the people, the viewers, what really inspired you to become an artist?
Yeah, sure. When I was younger, like elementary age, I always received positive feedback from art instructors. So that made me feel like it was something I could do and get a positive response. So that led me to pursue it further or continue it throughout life, throughout schooling, and then, up until now.
Yes, like many of the artists that I interview, seems like we was the ones in third grade that was decorating the board with a new chalk painting or cutting out cutouts to make some kind of an illustration of the coming events. So, and I guess we also talk about it being in your blood, maybe your DNA, clear back to the time of, if you remember, the cavemen and the artist writing on the walls. He probably said, well, I'll write this on the wall and record this while you guys go out and get something for supper. And if you'll share it, I'll do the artwork. So maybe that's one scenario. Maybe it's been around for a couple thousand years, you might say.
Certainly.
Well, what continues you to continue your work as an artist, Dustin?
Well, inspired by different images that I see throughout the day, and can be other artists that I'll see at our events or in the street, or even watching television. I might pause the TV because something has grabbed me. I'm like, oh, look at this, or look at the painting on the wall behind the people.
Yes,
different things like that. And then to find my version of those images, or even popular images, and recreate them with my own technique to them, or give them a different representation.
Right. Now we're going to get into his technique, his different ways of looking at his subject matter, what have you, after the break. But let's continue along the lines of getting to know you, Dustin. You have an organization that you spoke of earlier briefly, and you call it NOBRO. Can you tell us a little bit about NOBRO?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. It's called NOBRO, which is an abbreviation for North of Broadway which represents the downtown area of Sedalia. I wanted it to sound like it was New York, you know, or have
Sure.
a New Yorkiness to it.
Uh-huh.
So mainly what we've done with the art walks is how the business came about is to take local artists and in a pop-up fashion put their artwork into local businesses. So we have like a one-day event for a short amount of time, just generally around 4 hours. So it's a quick event.
In and out.
In and out, yeah, we bring in the whole setup, we set it up, hang all the art, 4 hours, we're packing it all out, and they can go back to business as normal.
Now, we have footage that we'll be showing the viewers as we're discussing No Bro, so they'll get an idea of what happened this past weekend in the month of November 2021. So that will kind of explain things a little bit. It was quite an event. We saw a lot of artists here that known around in our communities and surrounding areas. One lady came all the way from north of Columbia to present her glassworks, and so anyway, Lucas Richardson comes to mind, and Doug and Damian Freed was here, and others. So it's well represented, as the footage will show you. What more can you tell us about No Bro? North of Hollywood, no, that's Broadway, so we want to get those mixed up.
Well, and North Hollywood City did rename themselves NoHo, so there's
Oh, I see,
there's many
NoHo.
abbreviations out there.
Ah,
It's easy to confuse, but yeah, we do reach and represent or show exhibit artists from, you know, I think the farthest one west so far is Lawrence, Kansas, and then Columbia is
I
as far
see.
east as we've gotten so far. And then I've had an artist from Marshall inquire, and then we've shown artists from Lake of the Ozark area too.
right.
But it's a one-day event, and people don't want to miss out on events, you know, whether it's for Instagram selfies or Facebook selfies. You know, they want to be where the people are at. So we do it in an exclusive, like limited time like that to create like an impulse, like a surge, like a Black Friday for everyone to come out at once
I see.
and see
And
the
you
event.
advertise this well throughout the Sedalia Democrat and the whatever newspapers, what have you,
Yes.
for your artists.
The Sedalia Democrat is definitely a friend of ours. They come and support us greatly, and we'll pre-write articles about it before the event happens, and then we'll submit different press releases to them. You know, they're very supportive.
Great, which is great for the area.
Yes.
And I'm sure that reaches on out through Facebook and what have you. Now, this takes teamwork for any event like this. So would you like to mention your team, give them acknowledgement, and some of the artists, for example?
Lucas Richardson has been my number one, I don't know, partner, volunteer. You know, since we got going, he's always made himself available to help organize the setup of shows at multiple locations. And beyond that, you know, he's the one that has the kit with him. It's almost like a first aid kit of if something happens, Lucas has got the tools and
He's on
materials
top of
to.
it. Well, he's
to
a
repair
local
these things.
councilman, I believe, alderman and what have you here for the
That's-
city of Sedalia, Missouri also.
That's correct, yeah. City councilman,
So
yes.
he's a mover and goer,
Yeah.
even though he's in a wheelchair.
He is,
So-
yeah.
We have to acknowledge, you know, people like Lucas that really still are 100%, even though they may have some type of a handicap. So that's great to hear, to acknowledge that Lucas is your right-hand man. What have you.
Yeah, he is. And with my construction work, as I mentioned earlier, like when we had the contract on the new steel mill out here. So
Yes.
I was obligated to that 67 hours a week, but we had to keep No Bro rolling, you know, keep the events going. So Lucas just took the reins and went off without a hitch every time.
Well, now, for people, we're going to talk about your website, what have you, Facebook later, but for Nobro, what would you like to, as far as a contact, what's going on with Nobro and upcoming events, what have you? Do you have a contact address or whatever?
Yeah, well, Facebook is the greatest way to reach us because we have the largest presence on Facebook. You know, we do a lot of advertising through them and
Excellent.
Instagram because people are already on their phones all the time. So if I can have an ad slip by while they're looking at photos, then that's better for me.
Oh, yes.
For us.
Subliminal messages. they
Yeah,
call
it just
those.
flashes right through there.
Well, that's great. Dustin, we must take a break, so make yourself comfortable while we look at these special messages. After the break, Dustin will fill us in more on his favorite mediums, his what he paints with, in other words, his favorite subject matter, any special techniques that he might share with you, and those favorite pieces that may be of interest to you. So there's much more. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Creative, connection, control. Support the arts and be the change. 24 hours a day, 200 countries. The show must go on. Introducing the world's first exclusive platform for artists and creators of all kinds. The biggest stage on earth. Phantom.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Spotlight on the Arts. I continue my interview with Dustin Schmidt from Sedalia, Missouri. Well, Dustin, before the break, you shared a lot of information, so let's continue along those lines of thought and expression. You know, I first met you at the Top 50 exhibit, Missouri State Fair, and admire your art, your piece of art. What would you say is your favorite medium used in the completion of a project?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I work with acrylic paint primarily because, it dries through dehydration. So where an oil paint, it has to oxidize, so it takes too long. With my busy schedule, with construction work and, coaching sports, for my children, I need to get as much work done as quick as I can when I
Sure.
do paint. So me and the acrylic paint.
So this is an example, which we'll talk more about as one of your favorites, but this is an example of acrylics.
Yes.
Viewed from a distance of 6 feet, probably.
Yeah, well, it does
That's
many
most-
things differently as the depth you're perceptive.
Yes.
Yeah, so with you can see the multiple layers on it, So I'll use a hair dryer to
Oh,
get one layer
sure.
done and then apply the next one, as soon as the canvas cools back down.
Right. I have used that same technique with acrylics in the past. And layering, I believe in layering also.
Sure.
And especially in landscapes, it just gives it so much more depth.
Yeah.
And, shall we say, uniformity, what have you, kind of like casting clay, each layer brings up another dimension or whatever.
Exactly.
Well, what is your favorite subject matter?
I like to work with portraits primarily. Just I feel like that's the area I do best in. I have done some architectural landscapes, painting. Went on vacation to Chicago, came back with a roll of film, and worked on all of that. They are wonderful pieces, but I respond more to portraits. And I feel like I get a better positive reaction out of
It's
that.
basically like developing your own image, giving birth to the face in a different dimension, I guess we could say.
Certainly, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, can you step us through the process of completing a painting? Do you begin first with a photograph and then a sketch? What have you? How would you put together Mr. Lasso? Is this?
Yes, it's Mr. Lasso. So this began with a photo, as all of my works do. Begin with a photograph, which I'll receive, via Facebook or however, people will want a family member painted and send me a photo.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned of this style long ago in a copy camera setting, where one side is to shoot
Yes.
film and words, and the back side of it's a dark room.
Right.
So if you were to take an image like the original image here, like a photograph, and shoot it on that copy camera as a line art, then it becomes solid images, and then you
Yes.
adjust the exposure, and then stack those images up. Pretty much is what's happening here.
Basically layering, stacking up those images as you've taken the photograph of the different lighting or angles, what have you. Oh,
Yeah, well,
excellent.
yeah,
That's
so-
a new approach. I see.
So I don't have a copy camera at the house in a dark room, so I'm able to get the same effect on the computer these days. So
Yes, I see. Now, what program do you like to use on the computer?
I'm still using CorelDRAW. The world moved on to Photoshop. But
Photoshop.
I'm still back where I learned it.
But it works for you.
It works for
And
me.
you're familiar with how it works, so that's where I'm at on it. But I've been learning some new stuff here lately, having to, for the production.
Sure.
So forth. Well, that's a great process. Now, the COVID-19 has really affected a lot of us in many ways, but also in our efforts to produce, exhibit, whatever. How does that play a part in your no-bro and even your own artwork? Did you find extra time when maybe things were locked down?
It definitely had an impact on NoBro because we're an event-based company, so we only make events where the community comes together. It's like the community is creating entertainment for the community to enjoy, so when we can't have people together, we can't do anything. But we're a privately owned company, so I don't have a board of directors to answer to. And we used to have a brick and mortar building that we paid rent on and different storage situations, and we've eliminated those costs by carrying our mobile
Uprights?
art walls,
Art walls,
in a van. So then wherever the van goes, that's where
Yes.
that's
ah,
where the company
That's
goes.
smart, should we say budgeting?
Yeah, we got to keep costs down, keep
Yes.
overhead down. And I personally did not have more time to create because being in construction, we're on time-sensitive projects, so
Sure.
we had safety different things put in place, and then we kept going.
I see. Now, around Sedalia, where have you been able to exhibit, for example?
Oh, sure. So, starting at Craft Beer Cellar on 7th Street, it's been trial and error throughout. Like, Craft Beer Cellar we put a visual display in there, with the uprights and the artwork, and the traffic flow just wasn't right. So now, during our art walks, we'll do live music inside Craft Beer Cellar, and maybe outside. We're still trying to get that figured out correctly. So we'll have music there, and then as you move south, the Ohio Hair Company
Yes.
is, a salon. They're happy to have us in there to show our work. And then south of there is State Fair Floral, and they're always welcoming to have us, artwork in there. And then further south on to Fitters, which they have a whole banquet room upstairs that we've used many times. They're always very accommodating.
So this art walk, how does that work for people? Do they get a card and get should we say, a punch for every location, and they come back, and is there a final reward, or it's just basically a tour?
Basically a tour. We could introduce promotional items like that, maybe gift bags or something, but from Fitters, there's the 2-Bit Barbershop, and then the Hotel Bothwell, and then Pro Velo Cycle, which is about 3rd and a half street, about 4th and a half. He's about midway there. So we stretched the 2.5 blocks, and we put 4 or 5 artists in each location.
I see.
So, yeah, people just make
So
the
you
trips
basically
back and
have
forth.
about a 2.5 block area that you concentrate on, where people can walk from gallery or
temporary gallery.
or from a facility.
Yeah, and it works out great. The businesses are very happy to have us because it increases their foot traffic, their exposure, as well as
Sure.
the art. So
Good marketing.
people coming in for art may not have been in that salon before, that flower shop before, and the same with their customers. They may be coming in for a haircut and don't realize that there's art on display. So we're both helping each other.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about your favorite. Now, I understand Mr. Lasso is one of your favorites. Can you tell us a little bit about this painting and the story behind it?
Mr. Lasso, Ted, if I may, has a popular TV show on Apple TV right now. Got a lot of viewers. So, but he being a Kansas City-based artist was the reason for the picture, And I knew a lot of people had positive responses to the show, so I thought, local guy, here's something that everyone kind of relates to already, because part of art is creating an image that people can emotionally bond with.
Bond with, yes, I relate to it.
And then when I have an image like this, they already have a relationship with him.
Yes, so immediately.
So now it's just my interpretation of him.
Oh, excellent. And I understand, I guess this will be for sale, or is this going to be a gift?
Some of the promotional items are, that's primarily what most of these are, promotional items. Like, I can put it on Facebook, I can put it anywhere, and then people see it, and they're like, they're familiar with the before picture, they're familiar with
Yes.
the subject matter, so this is what it looks like afterwards. So then that gets people to think about Like, could you paint a picture of my children as well as you've represented Jason Sudeikis? Or could, my grandparents have an anniversary coming up? Could you paint a picture of them? So that leads to a little commissioned work.
Oh,
So-
yes, great. Well, you're doing commissions, so how do we get in touch with you? The viewers worldwide, for that matter, now. We are covering now, getting good coverage worldwide, so how would we reach you worldwide?
On Facebook or Instagram. Dustin M. Schmidt on Facebook or Instagram is going to be the easiest way.
Instagram, okay.
And a way for us to exchange images. I mean, you
Sure.
you can see samples like this on there, and then you can send me images on there.
Right.
And then
And this, you use PayPal probably. That's the international, shall we say, tool now that monies can be exchanged easily through PayPal
Yes, yes.
internationally.
Yeah, I recently sent a painting to Omaha, Nebraska, paid for it with PayPal.
Oh, excellent.
They paid me.
Okay, great. Well, that's great information to know. Well, we're about to run out of time. So do you have any personal events upcoming you'd like to talk about?
Yes, I believe we have, I'll double check before I make it too public, but February 5th, the first Saturday of February, we should be doing another indoor art walk here in the Lamies building again, just like the one before.
Oh, excellent.
And the indoor art walk is to get all 20 artists in one place, because the multiple business art walk, it's hard to convince the public it's a good idea to walk around in frigid weather from business
Yes.
to business. So
Get it inside.
try to have it all indoors. So that would be February 5th. And then after that, March 5th, we're having a mac and cheese cook-off competition at Craft Beer Cellar, which is something we had done in the past because everyone else does a chili cook-off and different things like this. So we tried to find something to cook
Chili mac.
differently.
Or mac. Excellent. That's a great idea. Great marketing tool. Everyone loves mac and cheese,
They do, yeah.
Now, if you're an artist and you want to be part of your group, do you have an open invitation, or is that juried? Or how
No,
would you?
the invitation's always open, and all you have to do is get a hold of us on Facebook. Nobro Art Events on Facebook. Nobro. I may be saying it a bit fast. Nobro.
No, bro, north of Broadway.
Yeah, get a hold of us on there because we don't have membership fees.
Oh, I see.
There's only a fee to be in the show. Like, you're only paying to be a part of that event.
Of the event.
Yeah.
Oh, super, super.
And the artists change every time. We welcome new people. Some people come, some people go. We have new art every time. You're not seeing 10-year-old paintings. It's all new every time.
Excellent.
So keep it
excellent.
fresh.
Do you have any farewell response you'd like to share with viewers worldwide?
I just, in closing, like with Nobro or other art events, get involved, get your work shown. It'll build your resume, especially young artists. You'll get familiar with the exhibition experience. Build your resume. It'll get you into college. It'll help if you have experience. It can get you into larger galleries, like in a Kansas City setting, or larger areas, if you have the experience. So if you're feeling shy about it, get out there. The artists are supportive. You're going to learn from them. You can learn from their techniques, how they
Yes.
got that yellow, or different
Right.
things like this. So
Excellent.
it'll help
Well,
everybody.
thank you once again. Look forward to seeing you in the community. That wraps up another inspiring look at an artist from Sedalia, Missouri, Mr. Dustin Schmidt. I want to thank you viewers for watching worldwide and for joining me here today with Mr. Schmidt. Spotlights on the Arts now comes to you via YouTube and a couple other streaming networks. You can find GIAJ Global Media OTT Network on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon TV, and also Fan4Me, a brand new streaming network that concentrates on all the artists. So that's a brand new one. It's going to be a household name, I'm sure, soon. So fan4me.com. So I want to thank you once again for tuning in. It's Rick J saying, see you next time.